Hey everyone, welcome to the very first episode of the 90s Pop 2K podcast. I'm Eddie Caiazzo, and if you're here, chances are you grew up obsessed with the Backstreet Boys. Or maybe you just got dragged back into it from a night at the Sphere, perhaps? Yep, me too. This podcast is all about the 90s and early 2000s in pop, the music, the drama, who's in the top spot on TRL, and now how that world feels completely different when you're staring down 40. And yeah, this whole thing started because of one night in Las Vegas that absolutely wrecked me in the best way possible. Take this moment. So I was staring down the big milestone. Now, when I was a kid, all the adults in my life received their obligatory mug that said, "Over the hill." Remember that? Me, I received this cup from the Sphere. Oh, yeah. I'm talking about my 40th birthday, and boy, did my family pull off a big one. Now, this was a joint venture between my mom, the perfect fan, my Aunt Eileen, my wife Melissa, my sister Alex, and her best friend Anna. Now, it's important to note Alex, Anna, and I are no strangers to Backstreet shows. All three of us together have seen every tour since Never Gone. Well, all but one, and I'll get to that later. My sister and I went to our first Backstreet Boys show back in January of 2001, the Black and Blue tour. Since then, Alex, Anna, and I have been to the Never Gone tour in 05, Unbreakable 07, This Is Us 09, NKOTBSB 2011, and the DNA tour in 2019. We've seen the highs and the lows of Backstreet together for more than 20 years. Now, I know you Backstreet fans out there, you hardcore fans. You say, I'm missing a tour in there. That would be the In a World Like This tour when Backstreet came to town with Avril Lavigne back in 2014. Stick around to the end to hear my hilarious story as to why I missed that show and what came out of it. But back to my 40th. You have to understand that I thought we had completely missed the Sphere shows altogether, forever. We missed the Into the Millennium tour back in 1999 because the tickets sold out so fast, and if you were looking to buy them on eBay, we were talking about as much as Taylor Swift Eras tour tickets today. It was too much. So Backstreet comes out with this 25th anniversary, the Into the Millennium show at the Sphere in Las Vegas, and now I'm at a completely different point in my life. I'm married, I have a son, I have a dog, and I have a mortgage. It's a bit harder to shake free to see a concert out in Las Vegas when you're living this life now in Philly, right? I'm prepared once again to miss the Backstreet Boys on their Millennium milestone, and instead, my family swoops in with a big surprise. The boys announce another winter leg of shows at the Sphere, and my fam all comes together for my gift to bring all 6 of us to Las Vegas to see it. And this wasn't just tickets to the show. Nope. They went millennium-sized for this gift. They got the VIP packages from Vibee. Now, this meant concierge service from the airport, a larger-than-life room, 2 king beds, and a living room at the Venetian. Now, I'd seen many videos of Backstreet at the Sphere on social media leading into this, but even the tickets to the show, it seemed like the influencers didn't even get the same treatment by way of tickets that we did. So, Vibee, VIP, very, very cool. So now, let me take you through the whole night. Me, Alex, and Anna, we got the memo. We abided by the whole whiteout gimmick, so we dressed the part. Anna actually had like silver shiny pants. But I was wearing a white polo, the Backstreet Boys BSB Air bucket hat. Oh, yeah. And yeah, I went for it. I donned the white puffed pants as well. Now, my wife, she wore black because she's into rock music and would have been the Hot Topic girl back in 1999. So it was entertaining. It was fun. The reaction on social media, the reaction in person, it was really cool. You could see a lot of those pictures, and I'll post some as we go along here. But we get inside the concourse of the Sphere, and we make a beeline to get those famous the cups, right? And off we went into the actual Sphere itself. And when I tell you, and I'm not exaggerating, it was like walking back in time. We patiently waited in what appeared to be a hangar or a launch bay, and all around us up on these screens were old videos of the boys on tour from 1999. And there was also rolling trivia on the screens as well. So, which, if you're a hardcore Backstreet fan, you know this. If you're a casual fan, though, or new fan, you probably saw this up on the screens. The boys' least favorite song is
If you want it to be good, girl, get yourself a bad boy. Yeah, I like this.
If you want it to be good, girl, get yourself a bad boy. Yep. That's their least favorite song, but you could learn these things while you were waiting inside the hangar, the launch bay, whatever it is, but inside the Sphere itself while you're waiting for the show. So while we're waiting, we're taking all this in. Thousands of people start filling the show floor in front of the stage, all around us in the seats above, I think like the seats above us, there were 2 or 3 rows, 20,000 of us. Eventually, we're all waiting patiently to see what happened next. And thanks to that Vibee VIP experience that my family got us, our seats were where, if this had been a regular venue and not the Sphere, it would have effectively been where the soundboard would be, like where the person mixing the sound is. So our seats were straight on, right up close. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it's showtime. The screens turn red. The rocket ships start to rise from the hangar. And the countdown begins.
T-minus 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Initiating.
Holy shit, look out.
And boom, just like that, there were the Backstreet Boys in updated white spacesuits. All of this anticipation built into a crescendo where it seems like the boys teleported from the ship to directly in front of us on the stage. Now, after a very dramatic Michael Jackson-like pause, the boys raised the mics to their faces and... From the first notes of Larger Than Life, a moment for the moms in the audience with the perfect fan, the boys kept dropping hit after hit after hit from the Millennium album, with this new visual spectacle to support each one. Now, they played some deep cuts too, like my favorite Backstreet Boys song, which is. You ready? Siberia. Yep. They dropped some OG BSB tunes like Get Down and We've Got It Going On. And by the time they rose up into the vast expanse of the sphere to play I Want It That Way, it hit me hard in the best ways in one of the coolest places I've ever been, surrounded by the people I love. That this music raised us. It got us through awkward school dances, first heartbreaks, and now midlife reflections. This music made us happy. My inner 13-year-old and my now 40-year-old self high-fived for the first time in decades. And I can't imagine I'm alone in feeling that way after seeing this show. That night made me realize that it's time to relive that era and enjoy this music all over again. And I'm not saying it went away. I just feel like maybe we just tucked it away while we built careers, had kids, paid mortgages. But on one perfect sphere night, and boom, here I am starting a podcast about it. It's called 90s Pop 2K. Now, I want this show to be the place where we relive the glory days without apology. The rivalries, the Lou Pearlman stories, the solo careers, TRL. Oh, yeah. We're going to have some fights about that. It's going to be a lot of fun. But it all feels different now that we're the ones driving to work every day with the playlist where we can choose to listen to whatever song we want, whenever we want. But do you remember listening to the entire Millennium album on CD for the first time? CDs from the wall with that lifetime guarantee sticker? They weren't cheap, you know. And, oh yeah, we forked over a lot of cash, and I mowed a lot of lawns back in the day, just so our favorite bands could knock off other bands on the charts. We sat in the cheap seats many, many times, far, far away from the stage, thinking that that show, that moment, that night, right then, it was the best night of our lives. I can tell you, at the Sphere, in February of 2026, the Into the Millennium show, that was one of the best nights of my life. Now, after the show, me and my group, we didn't stop. The night just kept on going. There was a pop-up BSB terminal in the Venetian, and there was also a VIP after party where we literally danced to Backstreet Boys and other 90s Pop 2K tunes, and we danced all night long. And I want to give a shout out, actually real quick, to the great DJ Kevmo out there in Las Vegas, who literally had us dancing from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. And I mean nonstop. So he actually followed me on Insta as well. So I want to give him a shout out at DJ_Kev.lv. Kev like Kevin Richardson from the Backstreet Boys. So at DJ underscore Kev dot LV. And he found me because when I tell you that we all danced for 4 hours straight in that moment, the whole room became friends by the end of the night. There are people I've never met before in my life who we're all connected to now because we all enjoyed this evening in Vegas so much after a life changing concert experience and listening and dancing to the music that we loved so much. So here's the deal. If you've ever had this kind of experience, whether recently at the Sphere or otherwise, if you were ever pulled back into the music, whether it was a concert, a TikTok, or just hearing As Long as You Love Me in a grocery store, send me your story. Send me your voice note, email, DM. I'm sharing the best ones on future episodes. So I definitely want to hear from you. So on Insta, on TikTok, I'm at 90s Pop 2K. And that's on Insta and TikTok, 90s Pop 2K. If you want to send me an email, 90s Pop 2K at gmail.com. I want to hear all about it. And I'm not stopping there. I am so back into this music. We're going to cover it all here. The Pop 2000 tour, maybe you heard of that. 90s Con, the boy band cruise. Oh, yeah. You name it, and 90s Pop 2K will have you covered. So, back to that story of why I missed the In a World Like This tour. 2014, yes, the album came out in 2013, but the tour, 2014. In Philadelphia, there was what was called Monster Mania Con. Or no, I'm sorry, this was Wizard World, not Monster Mania Con. Shout out to Monster Mania Con, they exist too. But this was Wizard World, and at this particular event, it was a convention. John Carpenter, the person who made Halloween, The Fog, all the movies you can think of, Prince of Darkness, Christine, the John Carpenter from the horror space. So my dad is a huge fan, introduced me to all of John Carpenter's movies back in the day. Well, he was making an appearance in Philadelphia, and he was going to do one of them fan panels live on stage. And also, he was doing a meet and greet with the fans. So, obviously, I had to pick my dad over the Backstreet Boys that year. And I did. Well, so Big Ed meets John Carpenter at 2014 at Wizard World. And he gets his Halloween script signed by John Carpenter. Very cool. But while we're waiting, so think of like there's a lot of big celebrities there. The Avengers movies were hot at the time. So there were like two members from there. One of the guys who played Doctor Who was there. So we're walking the halls. The Backstreet Boys have a show over in Camden, which is right across the river from Philly. Backstreet Boys have a show in Camden that night. That's the one with Avril Lavigne, the In a World Like This tour. And I'm just walking down one of the corridors inside the convention. And here's Kevin Richardson from the Backstreet Boys, if you can believe it. And now I'm not, I don't, well, back in the day, I used to get a little too excited, but not really starstruck ever anymore. I was more just kind of shocked to see Kevin there. So, he was there with two kids, a bodyguard. So I just said, I said, "Hey, Kevin," and he stopped and he spoke with me. It was cool. I thought, he didn't send his bodyguard, so his bodyguard walked off. He had the two kids, and Kevin stopped to talk with me. And it was funny. And I was just like, I said, "Kev, you have no idea. I'm the biggest heterosexual Backstreet Boys fan on the East Coast in the world." I was so excited. He stopped to talk. Cool. All right. He's like, "Well, man, we have a show in Camden tonight." I'm like, "I know that." I said, "But you'll appreciate this because one thing about Kevin, he lost his father when he was young." So I said, "Kevin, you'll appreciate this. I took my dad to meet John Carpenter here at Wizard World instead of getting tickets to tonight's Backstreet show in Camden. I could only pick one. Money was tight. So that's what we did." He appreciated that. But before he left, obviously his kids, the bodyguard, they walk on. But before he left, he's like, all right, well, why don't you get one of them? Why don't we get like one of them selfies right now? This is going to be. So I, of course, had one of those Windows phones, right? Now I didn't know at the time selfies were like a thing. You actually, get in with your favorite celebrity or whomever and you take a selfie. I didn't really know that. Wasn't used to taking selfies. So I'm like, okay, so I have a Windows phone. So he holds the Windows phone out and he's like, well, how does this work? I'm like, I trying to figure out this whole selfie thing. Long story short, it's hilarious. He's sitting there fiddling with this Windows phone that I had. We can't figure out how to take a selfie. So he turns it around and hits the button, and the picture is unbelievable. Now, if you're watching this, the 90s Pop 2K podcast, if you're watching this on YouTube, I'll put a picture up on screen. You could see it. I'll put it on the Instagram at 90s Pop 2K. This is the worst selfie of all time. It's unbelievable. You can see it. I'll put it up there. A picture or a selfie of me and Kevin Richardson from the Backstreet Boys as he was taken in the Wizard World convention before the Backstreet show that night over in Camden. It was so funny. 2014, Philadelphia. So that at the time, which I might have to bring back because I'm still not good at taking selfies, I might have to bring it back. It's called hashtag Ed's Bad Selfies. Ed's Bad Selfies. That's me, Eddie Caiazzo, right? So that is the story of why I missed the In a World Like This tour. For your hardcore Backstreet Boys fans, yes, I missed one since that first time in Black and Blue and missing the original Millennium tour. I did miss In a World Like This, but I have a great story about it to tell of Kevin Richardson trying to take a selfie of he and I with my Windows phone. So, a lot of fun. All right. So, did you go to the Sphere? Again, I want to hear those listener stories, emails, anything. Just DM me, email me at 90spop2k at gmail.com or at 90spop2k, Insta, TikTok. That is episode 1 of the 90s Pop 2K podcast. If you loved it, hit subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Leave a review. That helps us so much. And please tell one friend, all right? You have a little homework. One friend who still either has their weekend shirt from the Sphere or their vintage BSB calendar from 2000. I got one of those too. Tell them to tune in, reach out, and we'll relive the hits together. On the next 90s Pop 2K podcast, we'll talk all about the Pop 2000 tour coming to a city near you all this year, featuring some of your favorite hits from 90s Pop 2K. And I'll share some of those in-person stories from some of the folks in attendance, because I'm actually going to catch the Pop 2000 tour in Philly, which is cool. And that's the Pop 2000 tour. It's Chris Kirkpatrick from NSYNC. It's LFO, Brad Fischetti from LFO, O-Town. I think we did, not David Gray. One of the American Idol guys will be there as well. So David Cook, figured it out. So that's going to be on the next episode of the 90s Pop 2K podcast. Again, I'm Eddie Caiazzo. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to the 90s Pop 2K podcast, your ultimate throwback to the golden era of pop.